turn the calendar, can you tell? Huh? Here we are coming back at you at the Sidekick at the Frat House. It's Mike and Sidekick coming at you from the Frat House.
Yes.
Change of season. Look at here. We got the audience can't see it. We got a Christmas tree lit over here. We got the fire going. The whole Frat House is just adorned in the beauty of Christmas.
Bring me some elves.
23 days, shopping days left.
Yes.
You done? How you doing, huh?
I haven't started.
You haven't started? You need some Christmas gift ideas.
I'm pulling a fourth quarter comeback like Tebow.
Got just the thing for you. Got just the thing for you. Look at here. Huh? How you like that one? We got 5 minutes at the Frat House. Our first 12 episodes on DVD. There you go. Huh?
12 episodes, 12 days.
What do you think of that one? There you go. You got the first one.
Oh,
you give that one. All right.
Stocking stuffer.
Alrighty, yes. Any of you guys want one? All you gotta do is get in touch with us. Facebook. Follow us on Facebook. Frat House, Eagleville. Alright? I'll get one to you. We're talking 5 games. 5 games in the NFL. Hey, it's December, and it's feeling like pre-playoff football now, huh?
Sure is.
First game we're going to take a look at, Atlanta at Houston on Sunday. That's our 1 o'clock game. Last week, Atlanta, they won that game over Minnesota. They were 24 to 14. Matt Ryan was 27 of 34. He had 262 yards, 3 TDs, no interceptions. He had 128.2 QB rating. Houston Texans, they won their game over Jacksonville, but in my opinion, just barely. And, you know, we've got a situation here, again, no point even bringing up Matt Leinert's numbers, huh? It was the Arian Foster show. We'll talk about that one for a moment. 22 carries, 65 yards, 7 receptions, 24 yards. He did have a TD. They just barely won this game, really, when it comes right down to it. Houston, 215 yards to 255 for the Jaguars. Leinert's now out. Yates is coming in next week. They've picked up the loom. I'm not quite sure why. I'm not sure what role he's playing. Question that came up to me. Here we go with another quarterback down. This is the second one for Houston in just a couple of weeks. Is it just my impression, or does it seem to me like we've seen more quarterbacks going down earlier in the season for more games than in recent memory? I mean, that's something that it just seems to me. I mean, when we take a look at the list, you know, we've got a list compiled here. Peyton Manning, you know, Chad Henne, Matt Schaub, Mike Vick, we go on and on and on. Just seems to me like there's been more quarterbacks out.
No. At least T.J. Yates' name is not Matt Yates. Because you don't want to be a Matt this year in the NFL. That's
they're really.
We got a lot of Matts going out. So, you know, I took a look at some of the numbers.
Right.
You know, so far this season, 22 teams have started the same quarterback for every game. Compared to last year at this time, where 18 teams had started the same quarterback through this period.
So it sounds like this year we've actually fared better with quarterbacks.
We've actually fared a little bit better this season. Last year at this time, you know, we were on our 50th starting quarterback who was stick pin for Miami after the Chads both got hurt.
50 out of 32. Okay. Are we seeing a situation perhaps then maybe where we've got quarterbacks that are going out for longer periods of time? I mean, I think having somebody like Manning out for almost the entire season, that's had an impact because you're thinking, oh my gosh, you know, you're talking the whole season.
Sure.
Your guy over there at St. Louis, who has been out for, Bradford has been out for an extended period of time. Mike Vick now missing 3 weeks for the Eagles. Maybe it's just the impression because there's been so many games that have been missed.
That's possible. One thing that, you know, in doing my research is that some analysts are pointing to the lockout as why we're seeing this many injuries this year.
Right.
Because the O-lines didn't get time to practice. You know, they're just starting to gel, so the quarterbacks are getting hit harder and that this season. So, you know, that may be one angle.
And that was my initial impression as well. That, in fact, perhaps maybe my impression was correct because, in fact, we had teams that were coming in who just weren't completely prepared.
Correct.
Now we're finding out we've got another issue this evening, right?
Yes, we've got breaking news.
Breaking news? We got breaking news?
We've got breaking news. Donovan McNabb, our Frat House favorite. He has been released by the Minnesota Vikings.
Right.
And according to reports, he asked for his release. So I've hit up some of my Twitter friends, Jay Glazer and Chris Morrison,
right?
And that, can Donovan go into Houston? Kubiak has ties to Shanahan. They're saying there's no way
right.
you will see Donovan in Texas. But having said that, though, one of the things that came up is the Bears may be looking for him, and he may be wanting to go to the Bears, being his hometown team. Now, what complicates that a little bit is the Cowboys are higher up on the waiver than the Chicago
Bears. Right.
Kitten is hurt. They need a backup. They put a thing in to get Orton. They didn't get Orton because KC was, higher up. So they may go after Donovan as well.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see where he goes.
Yeah, I would agree. The whole thing kind of struck me a little odd. Initially, I'm thinking to myself, Minnesota was giving him a mercy break and letting him go that way, and then letting him go to Chicago. At the same time, now you're saying that in fact he requested it. That would lead one to believe that in fact McNabb got something in the background that perhaps maybe he knows that he's going to get picked up someplace. It would seem to me Chicago would be the place he probably would want to go to.
Correct.
All right, we got to move on a little bit though, but at the same time, we still have Atlanta is favored in this game that we were talking about. Atlanta and Houston. Atlanta's favored by 2.5. How do you see it?
I'm going with Atlanta.
I'm going with Atlanta as well. Atlanta Falcons 2.5. All right, 1 o'clock game on Sunday. We got Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. Cincinnati is 7-4. Pittsburgh is 8-3. This should be, it could be, might be a good matchup. Last week, Cincinnati won over the Cleveland Browns just barely, 23-20. Andy Dalton was 21 of 31 for 270 yards. He had 1 TD, no interceptions. He did have a fumble lost. He had 105.6 QB rating. That was a Cedric Benson show, in my opinion. I'm sorry, 21 carries. He also had 4 receptions. He had a total of 130 yards, 1 TD. Pittsburgh Steelers last week. They won over the KC Chiefs 13-9. This was an uninspiring performance. I'm sorry. This was, this is a sleeper. Roethlisberger was 21 of 31 as well. Same numbers. 193 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception, 81.8 QB rating. Mendenhall, 17 carries, 57 yards. Antonio Brown, 4 receptions, 81 yards. Overall, just an uninspiring, in my opinion, performance by Pittsburgh. They're favored by 6.5. I don't know if it's going to be quite that high. What's your thinking here?
Well, I'm going to go with the Bengals for this one.
Go with the Bengals, yeah.
And that, because I think you've been a little hard on Andy Dalton this season. He's a rookie. I mean, if you look at his numbers, his numbers are comparable to Ben's last week. And not that Ben's numbers were that great, but, we're talking about a rookie here, and I think, he needs a little slack.
Good for you! I like that response. Good for you!
In our last matchup, if it weren't for the 2 picks late in the game, they had a shot at winning that game.
I don't know. The guy just doesn't. He just does. Maybe it's a personal thing. He just doesn't. I don't see leadership from him. That's the bottom line with me. Now, again, maybe I'm being a little harsh because he is a freshman, but that's just where I'm leaving it. You're picking Cincinnati?
I'm taking Cincinnati, and just because I'm taking it opposite of you, I'm making this my bomb diggity bomb pick of the week.
And yes, I am picking Pittsburgh. Yes, indeed. Despite their uninspiring performance last week.
Upset.
We're going over to Game 3. Game 3. 1 o'clock game on Sunday. Tennessee Titans 6-5 at the Buffalo Bills 5-6. Last week Tennessee had their win over Tampa Bay 23-7. I don't know if you've noticed, but some of these spreads that we're going to be looking at are getting tighter. Also, some of the wins, victories from the weeks before are getting a little tighter here too. A clear indication we're ending near the end of the season. Matt Hasselbeck last week, 19 of 34, 160 yards. Ho-hum, 53.6 QB rating. Chris Johnson, wow, 23 carries, 190 yards. Well, if you had him on your fantasy team, you did okay. Buffalo Bills last week, they lost to the New York Jets. I don't know how you do that, but 28-24. Ryan Fitzpatrick, 26 of 39, 264 yards, 3 TDs, 111.5 QB rating. There was no rushing in that game with Buffalo. They're a passing team. That's it. Buffalo's favored by 1.5 points. A point and a half? Some might say that's a Tennessee line. Where are you going?
Well, CJ2K, I'm sorry. 1 week, I'm not buying it. He's a choke artist this season. I'm done. Yeah, I held him for a batch of season.
I'm just reporting the numbers.
I know. I was hoping he'd turn around. I had to cut him. You know, I'm just very frustrated with CJ2K this season.
What don't you understand?
So
the way he plays.
Yeah.
All right.
Now I'm going with the Bills on this too.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Bills.
The Bills have kind of imploded, but they've been having a really tough time on the road, and they've been playing a little bit better at home. So
yeah, I would agree.
I'm going to go with the Bills this week.
Interestingly, that the Bills, just didn't seem that long ago. I mean, everybody was talking about the Bills as they were going to be one of the teams in the AFC. 5-6 they're going into this week. Game number 4. 4:15 game on Sunday. Green Bay 11-0. Is anybody ever going to beat this team? At the New York Giants 6-5. I don't think it's going to be the Giants, but last week Green Bay beat those Detroit Lions 27-15. Aaron Rodgers 22 of 33, 307 yards, 2 TDs, no interceptions. He had an average of 9 yards a pass. Just incredible to me. 116.6 QB rating. Giants. They were in that wild matchup against the Saints. What a wild game. New Orleans Saints and them, 49-24 they lost that game. Eli Manning, are you ready for these numbers? 33 of 47, 406 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception. He only ended up with a 101.9 QB rating. I almost felt bad for him. Not. There was 1,042 total yards of offense in that game. God bless Victor Cruz. 9 receptions, 157 yards and 2 TDs. Green Bay's favored by 6.5. Is that high?
I don't know. It's Green Bay, I guess so. But the only thing I've got to say about this is I'm going for the Giants. I said it last week. I will be rooting for every team that plays Green Bay till the end of the season.
Oh no!
Oh, I guess I asked the wrong person whether they're ever going to lose again, huh?
Yeah. So I'm picking the Giants for the upset.
You pick those Giants. I'm going with Green Bay. Last game we're going to take a look at, 8:20 next Sunday night, Detroit 7-4 at the New Orleans Saints 8-3. We talked a little bit about the New Orleans Saints just a couple of moments ago. Detroit, last week they lost to Green Bay, 27-15. Matt Stafford was 32 of 45, 276 yards, 66.5 QB rating. Okay. Detroit, 11 for 82 yards in penalties. I think that really hurt them. New Orleans last week, of course, won over the Giants in that crazy game, over 1,000 yards. Jimmy Graham, 5 receptions, 2 TDs. Mark Ingram, 13 carries, 80 yards, another touchdown. Drew Brees, 372 yards in the air, 205 yards on the ground, 577 total yards. Just incredible game. New Orleans favored by 9. Again, a little high. But, where do you see it?
Jimmy Graham, my boy. Had him on my fantasy team last week. Well, every week, actually. He's been working out great for me. But getting back to real football, the Lions have lost 4 straight games against winning opponents. So I'm going with Who Dat again this week.
I'm going with Who Dat as well. I mean, maybe not by 9, but New Orleans on this one. All right? All right, that's our wrap-up for this week. Make sure you tune in next week. We got the Christmas stuff all going on, and we'll be right back at you with the next week. All right, see you then.
Little Christmas, let your heart be light. From now on, our troubles